Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to my Singapore Grand Prix review. A Grand Prix that was supposed to see Sebastian Vettel retake the championship lead in an epic fight with the Red Bull boys for the victory. And Kimi Räikkönen was going to be there to fend off those Mercedes boys as Ferrari grasped hold of this opportunity to get themselves back into that Constructors' Championship fight. So we will start, as we always do, with the race result. Lewis Hamilton took victory then around the streets of Singapore, 4.5 seconds clear of Daniel Ricciardo. Frankly, guys, once Lewis got out front, he was just unstoppable. Ricciardo couldn't get anywhere near him. Bottas, he finished P3. Carlos Sainz, an exceptional 4th place for Toro Rosso. Sergio Perez, equally brilliant in 5th place. 6th place, though, Jolyon Palmer. I will say that again. That is 6th place, Jolyon Palmer. P7, a great result again for Stoffel Van Dorn. 8th place for Lance Stroll. 9th for Romain Grosjean. And Esteban Ocon came home in 10th. Felipe Massa then just about missed out on points, just under 2 seconds behind Esteban Ocon. He finished 11th. And Pascal Wehrlein was the last classified finisher in P12. Just 12 finishers, guys. Wow. The retirement list: Kevin Magnussen, Nico Hulkenberg, Marcus Ericsson, Daniel Kvyat, Fernando Alonso, Sebastian Vettel, Max Verstappen, and Kimi Räikkönen. Lewis Hamilton got the fastest lap, which was also a track record of a 1:45.008, and he also took away driver of the day as well. Well deserved. Carlos Sainz was in that for driver of the day as well, and I even think Jolyon Palmer to an extent, although before Hulkenberg's retirement it was pretty much outpaced by him, but still a great result given everything he's gone through this weekend. But there is only one place to start, guys, and that is the start. So for the first time in Singapore, we had a wet start to the Grand Prix, which set us up quite nicely because we had some of the field on intermediate, some on full wets, and that really did look like it was going to really split the field and give us a bit of chaos throughout the race. But little did we know it was all going to go wrong. All the boys at the front started on the intermediates, of course. Vettel got a poor start. Verstappen got a start that was slightly better, but not great. And Kimi Räikkönen got an absolute flyer. The three of them side by side as they head down to turn 1, but they don't get anywhere near turn 1 before Vettel comes across to defend from Verstappen. Verstappen takes slight evasive action. I am not blaming Verstappen at all on this, but they're saying he kept a straight line. He did have to move to the left slightly because Vettel was coming towards him. Räikkönen's also coming towards Verstappen, and bam, the three of them collide down into turn 1, and it's game over. They wipe out Fernando Alonso as well, who was good as retired at that first corner. He did manage to continue, but ended up retiring just a few laps later. Sebastian Vettel continued for one corner before spinning out on what looked initially like water, but it could have been coolant that was pouring from his side pod going onto his rear tyres that caused him to spin very, very nearly into an incident with Lewis Hamilton, but Hamilton took evasive action, took the lead and disappeared. But that first corner incident is really what decided the race today and very well could have decided the World Championship already. As you would expect, the incident's kind of divided opinion around Formula One. For me, I cannot put any blame at the door of Max Verstappen, and that's not going to go down very well. I've seen some tweets online saying, oh, well, if you didn't let kids into Formula One, get lost, just go away. Seriously, that's just the most ridiculous statement ever. Max Verstappen, yes, he's had to move slightly to the left, but he's taken evasive action to avoid contact with Vettel, which was ultimately inevitable because Sebastian Vettel's made the most ridiculous sweeping move that he never had to make. He's going for a world championship. If he finishes second, Verstappen wins the race and Hamilton finishes third, it doesn't matter. Vettel would just about take the lead in the world championship. They'd at least be level on points. So why is he making that stupid move across like that? It was not needed. It is a long race. You cannot win the race at the first corner, but you can definitely lose it. And that's exactly what happened to Vettel, and it could have cost him the championship. A stupid move. Kimi Räikkönen, it's difficult. When I first saw it, I kind of said he can't be completely blameless. I kind of stand by that. He's coming across to Verstappen, but he's just off the track on the left-hand side where all that paint is, and it's soaking wet, and he kind of needs to get off that, really. So I kind of feel a bit for Kimi. He got a good start, and unfortunately for him, that's kind of what caused the incident. But I don't know what to say, really, other than portion that blame completely on Sebastian Vettel, because he doesn't need to move across like that. Verstappen has turned slightly towards Räikkönen, but then if you've got a car coming towards you, you've got to. People saying he should have backed out, there's no way you can back out of that. The only way Verstappen could have got out of contact there was to have completely evaporated, and that is impossible, people. That is absolutely impossible. So anybody blaming him, and I'm not a big Verstappen fanboy, it is not that at all, but anybody blaming him seriously needs to get their eyes tested, because that is absolutely ridiculous. For me, 90% Vettel, 10% Räikkönen. I can't really put too much on Räikkönen because he's just got a good start. He's in the wrong place at the wrong time. Yes, okay, Vettel can't see Räikkönen in his mirrors at that point. He's just worried about Verstappen, but doesn't need to worry about Verstappen. Everybody knows what a hothead Verstappen is, so although that's not Verstappen's fault, why is Vettel going anywhere near him at the start? It doesn't matter. He should have stayed on the outside, that wouldn't have allowed Hamilton the start that he got. He would have probably gone into turn 2, probably P3, but P3 is still ahead of Hamilton. He's got a championship to fight for. What the hell is he doing getting involved in a first corner incident like that when he knows that if Verstappen goes through and Raikkonen goes through, Ferrari are going to swap him over anyway, and he'd be at least P2. I can't get my head around it. It's probably costing the championship today. I know there are 6 races to go. I get that, but a 28-point lead at this point of the season is massive. Absolutely massive. If you're 28 points clear after the first 4 or 5 Grand Prix, the championship's not over. There's a long way to go. But now it really is a mess for Sebastian Vettel, and he needs another Baku. He needs another Singapore where we have utter chaos and he takes maximum points. And the other huge ramification it has for the championship now is that Mercedes are 102 points, I think, clear of Ferrari. Ferrari aren't closing that down. They're not prioritising that. They want Vettel to win the World Championship. So they're seriously in trouble now of losing that. I think that's almost gone. I can't see Mercedes being caught. Bottas is too consistent. Hamilton on his day is just unstoppable. You know, at the minute, what Ferrari need is for the Mercedes boys to both retire. But that car is bulletproof. They were running their second engine of the year today. They'd written today off. They were even using an older engine that was down on power because they knew that they weren't going to get anything from this race. And then that happens. You know, what are Ferrari doing? I think they need Mercedes to seriously mess it up, to be honest, before the end of the season. And I can't see it happening. I really can't. So I think we've just had the defining race in the World Championship. Someone said it was Baku. I agreed with it until today, but this was the moment that the World Championship absolutely spun round. And I just can't see Sebastian Vettel doing it. I hope, you know, even as a neutral, I hope I am wrong on that. It'd be great to see a driver in a car other than a Mercedes winning a World Championship this year. That would be fantastic for the sport. We want to see, say, Vettel win the championship and see what Hamilton can do next year to come back at him. Or we want a close fight. We want it to go down to that final corner in Abu Dhabi, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. But I hope it does. But it's going to need an absolutely chaotic race. Another Singapore, another Baku, possibly even for Ferrari, a Monaco 96 might be their best chance really of getting back into this championship. But that is gone. For me, like I say, 90% Vettel, 10% Raikkonen. I can't put anything on Verstappen because the only way out of that for him is to evaporate, and that is physically impossible. And I'm fully aware that is probably going to get me slammed a bit in the comments by Ferrari fans. I'm sorry. I am a fan of Ferrari, but I'm also a fan of Mercedes, Red Bull, all the teams out there. Come join me on the fence. It's good fun over here. It gets a bit painful at times. But yes, I understand that's going to be pretty divisive. And I know there are going to be people that defend Vettel, people that defend Raikkonen, people that defend Verstappen, and vice versa. People that will attack all three of those. So I understand that. That's just my opinion. Vettel predominantly at blame. At this point of recording the video, he hasn't had any penalty. I can't imagine that's going to change. I reckon the stewards will call that a racing incident because it's a first corner incident, and they tend to do that. And let's face it, you know, yeah, it's Ferrari, without throwing too much conspiracy theory into that. But it would be interesting to see what would have happened if that had been Hamilton, Verstappen and Bottas. But at the moment, no penalty, but we will see how that goes before Malaysia. We're going to move on though, because we could talk about this for ages because it's a proper controversial topic, but we'll move on to the race winner, Lewis Hamilton. Once he got out front, he absolutely cruised it. I have no idea. Well, at the time, I had no idea where that pace from Red Bull had gone from earlier in the weekend. Apparently, Ricciardo had a gearbox problem, so that kind of explains why he'd lost the pace. He was losing sort of 0.7 of a second a lap slower, just about on average in that one. So disappointed for Ricciardo, but Christian Horner said after the race they expected him to retire from the Grand Prix, and he managed to finish. So I think they'll probably take 18 points from that. But Lewis Hamilton, absolutely fantastic. Driver of the day. I think rightly so, I guess, because it's a race he didn't expect to win. They did control it, you know, in tricky conditions, 3 safety car periods. He did a great job out front and totally deserves that. And of course, now 28 points clearing the championship. He's really got complete and total control. He can afford to finish second to Vettel for a good few races now, although I'd imagine he won't quite fancy that one. So yeah, great for him today. And like I say, just a fantastic drive, a triple world champions drive for sure. Absolutely what he needed to do today. And you know, there's not really a lot else to say on him. He managed the car, managed the tyres. He got a little annoyed with the safety car situations. I actually kind of agree with him a little bit today. We had the safety car for the Sauber that had spun just before the bridge. I think that was a safety car. The Daniel Kvyat one, you could argue you'd have got away with a virtual safety car. It does beg the question, why have a virtual safety car if you're not going to use it? But it is a street circuit. So I kind of get his frustration on that, but again, getting annoyed with the safety car situation. We'll go on to Ricciardo then. Like I say, he finished second today. He had some gearbox problems, but managed to manage those beautifully. I think Christian Horner said he expected him to be out of the race by the midpoint because of the gearbox issues. So for him to actually finish that is fantastic. He's managed that well to finish in second place. Valtteri Bottas, it's a difficult one today because the times that were on the race classification put up at the start, you know, it was only, 8.5 seconds off the lead. But earlier in the race, he was 25 seconds behind his teammate. He just had no pace today at all. And I think that's disappointing to see, but he will definitely take third place as a great recovery. But I think we have to talk, though, about those boys that have picked up those points after the carnage in the first corner. Carlos Sainz, Sergio Perez, particularly Jolyon Palmer and Stoffel Van Dorn. Carlos Sainz had a pretty terrible start, to be honest, dropped well down the field, but actually managed to bounce back brilliant to 4th place. Good strategy calls, great driving, some great wheel-to-wheel action, a very, very mature driver, and you can totally see why people are calling him a future world champion, and you can see totally, again, why Renault have decided to take him on for next year. A fantastic drive from him, it really, really was. Jolyon Palmer, we have to give him credit. I know he's got lucky today with everything, and all right, when Hülkenberg was racing, when he was in the race rather, he was comfortably quicker than Palmer, but still a great result for him to get 6th, given everything that's happened this weekend. I think he's got to be happy with that. Some good wheel-to-wheel action, some good defending. I think he'll be happy with that. Stoffel Van Dorn, fantastic fight earlier in the race with, I think it was Lance Stroll, was it? Side-by-side constant. They were just at it. It was absolutely brilliant, and Stoffel Van Dorn drove fantastically. A really good weekend for McLaren, full stop, to be honest. And where could Alonso have been? He was P3 going into turn 1 before he got hit by Raikkonen and Verstappen, so he could have been on for a podium today, which, you know, he'll be disappointed with. But Van Dorn, good points for McLaren. Romain Grosjean, he came in P9th, didn't he? I think Haas will be disappointed with the weekend. He got a couple of points, but I think they could have had a lot more. But Magnussen retired with a problem with the car. We will talk about Nico Hülkenberg because I feel so sorry for that guy. For much of the race, he looked like he was on for a podium. He was P4, he was quick, he was comfortable. But then what initially looked like a hydraulics problem actually turned out to be an oil pressure problem. Ended his race, basically. It's such a shame because he was so quick, and he now has the record for the most race starts without securing a podium which he could have got today and then avoided that record. He's up there with Alonso as one of the unluckiest drivers in Formula 1. He really is. He's so underrated as well. I feel so sorry for him. Totally deserved a podium today. Was consistent, was strong all weekend, and it is just such a shame. And if Palmer could finish 6th, there's no reason why Hülkenberg couldn't have got on that podium for sure. As I touched on before, Fernando Alonso, yeah, more unlucky moments for him. He was comfortably into the top 3 going into turn 1, really. He was down outside, perfect line. If he'd avoided that accident, he would have been right up there with Vettel and Hamilton, and probably could have taken a podium as well. So the two guys that are probably the most unlucky on the grid, Alonso and Hülkenberg, could have been scrapping for a podium towards the end of the Grand Prix, but they both ended up DNFing. On the subject of effing Daniel Kvyat managed to crash out once again all by himself. He's just not having a great year, and he's under serious pressure. Pierre Gasly likely to come in to be his teammate next year if they keep Kvyat. Oh, it's a big if though, isn't it? He's really having a terrible season. Again, another driver I feel sorry for, but a lot of what is happening to him is totally his own fault as well. So yeah, but we'll not get too into Daniel Kvyat bashing because that's a bit harsh on him today. All in all, guys, a race that was all right, actually. When you compare it to Monza, it was exceptional, but it was an all right race. You know, we had a really dramatic start. We got some great wheel-to-wheel racing, particularly in the midfield. It did tail off towards the end because Hamilton kind of controlled the race pace up top there, but absolutely fantastic in the midfield, and a huge result for the likes of Renault and for Toro Rosso, of course. They're now jumping up in the championship. We'll take a look at that in just a moment. That midfield is seriously bunching up. But anyway, guys, before I go, I will take a look at the Drivers' Championship. So Lewis Hamilton, as we said then, has gone 28 points clear at the top of the Drivers' Championship. That, of course, is more than a race victory's lead. Sebastian Vettel seriously needs to turn this around, and quickly. Valtteri Bottas, he stays 3rd despite being outscored by Daniel Ricciardo. Could Ricciardo get Bottas? Could Bottas get Vettel? So we're getting interesting behind there now as Hamilton looks like he's got a hand already on his 4th world title. Kimi Raikkonen starting to fall away. Max Verstappen. I tell you what, guys, when you look at Daniel Ricciardo and Max Verstappen there, doesn't that smack you in the face? Nearly 100 points between them, but that doesn't tell the full story, of course. Max Verstappen having some seriously bad luck this year, and that's why he is where he is in the end. So it's a shame for him, but we know what talent he's got. Sergio Perez and Esteban Ocon there. Perez extending his lead over Ocon, who only got a point today. Carlos Sainz and Nico Hülkenberg rounding out the top 10. And in the Constructors' Championship then, it is Mercedes 102 points clear of Ferrari. That is looking very, very ominous now for the Scuderia. I can't see them closing that gap. Red Bull Racing there, 230 points. They are basically in a league of their own, aren't they? 3rd place. Force India for me, guaranteed 4th spot now. I can't see Williams, Toro Rosso or Renault getting anywhere near that, but look at that though. Williams, Toro Rosso and Renault, almost nothing in it really. Just 17 points between them, and don't rule out Haas there in 8th place. A couple of crazy Grand Prix and a couple of good results, and they could jump one of those teams, but a big weekend for Toro Rosso, Williams and Renault this one, but they've kind of almost cancelled each other out in a way, but Toro Rosso for me are on for 5th spot here, and I think Williams may even struggle to fend off Renault. McLaren on to 17 points, and Sauber there, once again, despite a crazy race, only have 5, and that hasn't changed for a while now. And I was about to wrap this video up, but we actually have got some breaking news, which won't be breaking by the time this video goes up, and it is on the Sky Sports app now that the Singapore Grand Prix stewards have ruled no driver was predominantly to blame for the huge start line accident involving Sebastian Vettel, Kimi Raikkonen and Max Verstappen. So no penalties, and it looks like it's going to go down as a race start incident. Don't entirely agree, but at the same time, at least we're not going to have penalties interrupting the championship, I guess. I will be back later in the week, or next week as it is now, with another video. But as ever, guys, thank you so much for watching. I've been Sean. This has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.